answer to super-fast, environmentally friendly, high-speed travel between our busiest cities. So the gauntlet has been thrown down. A design document for a whole new, super cool way to travel. The only thing now, will someone pick it up and make the Hyperloop a reality?
There are some companies that are forming to try to make the Hyperloop happen, and I encourage them. I think that's great. I'm super focused on Tesla and SpaceX, and to a small amount on Solar City, so that basically completely uses up my brain.
Tesla founder Elon Musk proposed this new technology called Hyperloop, and it's being developed right now in Playa Vista, here in this hangar behind me.
The only resistance would be the air in front of the capsule, which we move to the back by using a compressor.
Company Hyperloop has teamed up with the students to create this tube technology that's designed to connect cities up to 400 miles apart.
Dirk Alborn says it's safer and more efficient than the railroad.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much for attending the Hyperloop Augmented Windows session. I'm very glad to be here and to talk a little bit about the Hyperloop and the Augmented Windows. My name is Wolfgang Stelzle. I am CEO and founder of Reflect. We're a company focused on augmented and virtual reality software solutions based in Munich. You might have seen me on the agenda, but you might not have seen Dirk on the agenda. I brought him with me. Dirk, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Dirk Schart, and I'm a Hypermaster for Augmented and Virtual Reality at Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, the company who will build the Hyperloop, and I'm coordinating the worldwide and global projects together with Reflect.
So, I've seen a couple of hands raised when the question has been, what's the Hyperloop? Maybe to go a little bit into more detail what the Hyperloop actually is. Dirk, can you explain what the Hyperloop is and the technology behind it?
Yeah, sure. I didn't see the hands, so I don't know how many of you know what the Hyperloop is. But so in 2013, Elon Musk proposed a new transportation system traveling at the speed of sound, which means 760 miles per hour, 1,200 kilometers. This is what he called the Hyperloop. A system where you travel in a capsule, in a vacuum tube, which I will show you in a second in a video. And as you also could hear in the video, Elon Musk said he's super busy with Tesla and SpaceX, which is currently is. So the CEO of Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, Dirk Alborn, received the official approval from Elon to build the Hyperloop. And it also becomes reality. The first track for the Hyperloop, the first test track, will be built in the north of Los Angeles in Quay Valley, which is a 5-mile test track, and the construction already begun.
So thank you very much for the explanation. But as far as I know, the Hyperloop capsule doesn't have windows, right? So what happens as a passenger if you walk inside the capsule, and how do you actually look outside a windowless capsule?
Well, I will talk about that in a second. Do you have also the video where I explain the... No, that's gone already. Okay, got it.
The other video was running in the background.
Yeah. So the capsule itself does not have any windows. And even if it have windows, it would not make any sense. Why? Because there is a tube around. And that tube is not transparent at all, which is not possible because of safety reasons. So we are used to having windows, like imagine you're in the subway, and even that it is dark outside, you can look outside. Imagine you're on the airplane, and you watch the people during takeoff and landing, and you see exactly that they look outside the windows to see the ground as a reference. So we're used to that. It's a kind of claustrophobic in such a capsule without having a window. And this is why we started to think with Reflect together about what can we do, how can we solve that situation.
And then we developed the Augmented Windows, right?
Exactly. We started to develop the Augmented Windows, which means we have 55-inch screens with a specific camera inside, and we can provide a different kind of content, what you also saw on overlays and live view and stuff like that. So what seems to be quite simple, just to put some screens and to simulate a realistic window, is really a challenge, honestly. And Wolfgang, you can tell us a little bit more about what's behind from the technical point of view, maybe.
Yeah, I will do. As you have seen on the first video already, what we want to simulate basically is we want to give the passengers the possibility to look outside a window. So imagine now if you stand in front of a window and you move to the left, you see more of the right. You move to the right, you see more of the left. So how do you do that on an LCD or LED screen or an OLED screen? Well, the solution for it is motion tracking. So what we do is we install depth cameras in the capsule in front and on the side of the passenger seat. We track the head of the passenger, and once the passenger is moving, we can basically calculate the position of the image on the screen. Of course, there's a couple of challenges. So you might now think, well, it's working for one passenger. What happens if you have multiple passengers in a row, so multi-users? I can tell you the tracking itself, so the tracking of multiple heads is not a problem, and also the calculation. But the content which is visible or which needs to be visible on the display is an issue, because you only have one screen, but you have multiple people looking on the same screen but from a different angle. So what we need to do there, and that's still technical challenges, we need to make sure that we have technologies which enable different pictures from different viewpoints. We do research, for example, with the University of Rochester in New York, to make that possible in the future. But for now, we can say it's actually working quite well to have the motion capturing and the display with several pieces of content available for an improved passenger experience. And why do we want to improve passenger experience, Dirk? You know about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. By the way, what Wolfgang explained is what we already installed in the first mock-up, in the first prototype, in our Los Angeles showroom 6 weeks ago. So we have the first real mock-up of a capsule with the augmented windows, and we had the first test patches in it, and we could really see that it makes a huge difference being inside a capsule with or without the windows. You see it really in a completely different way, that there is so much more space with the windows. And as you can see behind, yeah, today's travel sucks. Overcrowded trains, and I heard about that Eurowings and Lufthansa is in strike again, so that means tomorrow we will have that situation again in our train. And the same on airplane. If you don't buy a business ticket, you don't have space. It's not really a passenger experience, what we call it. So this is also the approach of the augmented windows. We will let the people look outside of the window, but we also want to improve the passenger experience by offering different kind of content, watching movies, have branded content. So there's so many possibilities. And Wolfgang can show some of the examples, what we have and what we build to make the passenger experience a journey and not only a transportation from A to B.
So in the next 2 slides, I want to give you a couple of examples which type of content we actually plan. So the first and very obvious type of content is simulating what's actually happening outside the capsule. So imagine you're in the train station. You want to basically visualize with cameras what's happening outside. So a pretty easy one, but if you travel with 1,200 kilometers over land, it might not always be very convenient to visualize the outside. So we have different options for different types of contents. And the one you see in the middle is we could, for example, have a journey through the galaxy or a journey through desert and landscapes which you can actually not really see. Imagine being on Mars, for example, or being on the moon. So we can create very exciting passenger experiences to make the journey for the passenger very experienced. A very joyful experience, basically. And the good thing is, we can't only show exciting content, of course, but we can generate new business models. And generating new business models might also mean that we were able to reduce the ticket prices for the passengers. So we can basically visualize any type of information above a screen. And of course, that could be the normal traditional forms of advertising, but it could be many more information. Like, for example, when you travel through a country, you can visualize the information the mountain X, Y, Z, and that's the city, and that's the sites, and all that stuff. Additional information which make the passenger experience more exciting, actually. A lot of opportunities, and we do all that, Dirk, with a different method of working together with communities, which is about crowdsourcing. And Dirk, you know best about it, so tell us a little bit about the crowdsourcing approach Hyperloop does in order to create all of that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Hyperloop Transportation Technologies is what I would call not a regular company. It's a startup which was built 2013, which was founded 2013, and it's a mix of like full-time employees which are based in Los Angeles in the headquarters, but then a huge global community which works on a model of stock options, which means when they work like more than 10 hours a week, they receive stock options. So we have people there, like on the Augmented Windows project from NASA, from Boeing, from SpaceX, who support us on that challenge to really solve the problems, to discuss with us about new stuff, because everything which you see for the Hyperloop is really from scratch. There is nothing which is accepted as existing, so we can really think new. It's not like an existing corporate. And we have that community, that global community, which allows us to be very, very innovative. And what you see also in the back on the screen is that we put that whole project now on an open innovation platform, which is also founded by our CEO, Dirk Jumpstart Fund. And we invite the people to participate in that project. So if you're interested, drop us a line and you can participate. It's very, very interesting.
Thank you very much. So we only have about 2 minutes left, and the guys backstage have told us to allow a little bit, or to allow the space of questions. It's probably not going to happen. Why I want to have a little piece of advertising in here. We do have a little booth back in the Get Started area, and normally we as Reflect, we take care about the scalability of augmented reality technologies, especially if it comes to content creation for industries and enterprises. So pass by, we can talk about our products and the augmented reality and virtual reality software and the innovations, but we can also talk about the Hyperloop and the Augmented Windows, of course. And what we did bring with us is a virtual reality experience which you can try and which shows how the Augmented Windows work in real. And I want to show you, for everyone who doesn't make it to our booth and to try the application, I want to show you very roughly how that looks like. So, thank you very much for your attention. Look forward to talk to you. I think there is a little meet the speakers area outside the room, so we're going to be there in a second, or then in the Get Started area. I wish you, or we wish you, a very nice conference and hopefully a very great night at the after show party. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Bye-bye.